Hey all, welcome back to Some Dev Dude. Today I'm just going to do a quick overview of SQL Union and what it is and why we need to know about it. So let's have a quick recap of what a database is and what a SQL database is. A database is an ordered collection of data. And then we have SQL, which is an acronym that stands for Structured Query Language and can be pronounced SQL or SQL. And then a SQL database is a database ordered into the following. So a database will have tables, and then each table will have a set number of columns with a data type associated with each column. And a table can have 0 or more rows. So let's have a quick recap of select statements. Select statements is used to retrieve data from a database, and is one of the query types that we have access to using SQL. An example of a basic select statement is select star from products where category equals accessories. So to break that down, we have 3 keywords here. We have select, and then we have the star. So the select designates the type of query and what information we want to pull from a row. So we have the select, which designates the query type, and then the star. Where that star is where you define what information you want to pull from that database row. So in this case, we're using star, which is meaning all. So we want to grab every piece of information from that database row and return that. The second keyword we have is from, and this specifies what tables you are getting data from. In this case, we're pulling information from the table named products. And finally, we have a where the where keyword defines a list of conditions a row must match to be returned. So in this case, if the category of the row is accessories or equals accessories, then we want to get that information. But because if we have a database row with the category of tech gifts, we wouldn't want that. So that database information or database row would not be returned. So now that we've quickly touched on or recapped on SQL databases and select statements, let's talk about unions. So a union is used to combine the results of 2 or more queries into a single result set. An example of this is to get all the countries that a customer lives in, as well as the countries that suppliers send from. So we might want to get this information to marketing so they can tell how widespread our company is. Or we might want to get that information to have a list of countries so we can calculate the best shipping supplier for us. So let's jump into an example. Okay, so here I have my database client open. It's going to open up the navigator here. So the database is called SQLi, and then we have 2 tables, suppliers and users. If I close that and we look at the users table, we can see that we have this country column. In this case, we have 2 users from the countries England and USA. If we navigate over to our suppliers column, or suppliers table, we can also see there is a country column here. In this case, it's Sweden and South Africa. Now, all we want in this case, is know the list of countries that we operate or have shipping happening from. So we can get information by running a SQL statement or SQL select query. I'm just going to open up the SQL command line or SQL editor and empty information here. So let's start. We have already specified the database. You can see here we're using the database SQLi, and we are going to write this query. So we're running a select query, so select, and because we only want the country, we're going to put in the name of the column, which is country, from, and then the database table we use first is users, and that's our first query. We're going to then put in the word union. Actually, we'll make it on another line to make it a bit clearer. So union, and then select country from suppliers. I'm going to end that with a semicolon. So there's our 2 queries. So remembering that a union query collates information from 2 tables into 1 result set. So if I run the query, I'm going to just press Control Enter for this client. We can see we get the list every country. If we compare it to what we'd get if we just run for users, we just get England and USA, and if we run it just for suppliers, we get Sweden and South Africa. But if we combine it all using the union keyword, we get everything. So with SQL Union, there is a couple of caveats to remember. You cannot return a number of columns for both queries, so they have to be the same number. For example, you cannot return one column in the first query and then 2 columns in the second. That will result in an error. And the second caveat is the columns must match up in terms of data type. So from the first query, you can't have, say, a number being returned, and then in the second query, a string. Now that's it for this video. I will leave some more resources in the description below on SQL Unions, just to allow you to get more understanding. And as we head into the next lab, we will be utilizing our knowledge of SQL Union queries to exploit some SQL injection vulnerabilities. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you in the next video.